touch one for me? That one right there?
Someone show us too. Show us too. I want to see it.
I can't see it.
We got it. I'll show you. We're good.
You guys won't forget that card?
No, we got it. Yep.
Now, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to read all of you guys and figure out what your card was. Okay, so everyone needs a poker face, but I'm going to try to use everyone. So I'm going to go through the cards. Now, I don't want anyone to give anything away. That's important. Look for the card, but again, don't say anything, right? Let's see.
I think I forgot.
Okay.
We got it. Yeah, we got it.
None of those. Nick, did you shuffle kind of like this? You did it?
No, I did it more like...
No? Okay.
I don't think
So, it might be the way you shuffled. You guys are tough to read, but all I was able to do is narrow it down to 1 of 26. And if you remember what happened last time we did this, I have a backup plan. It's something called the unshuffle. So watch carefully. This is the move, okay? This is when it happens. The cards are mixed. You guys just shuffled them. That does it. And I know it doesn't look like much. And look, what it actually does is it unshuffles all of the red cards and all of the black cards, just like that. So weird. Now hold those in your hand, just like this, in a packet, like this. And what's your name again? Steph. Just like this. Hold on top.
Like
now,
touch it or just like
yeah, just keep covered so I can't get to it. Now, obviously, you want me to try to guess your cards, and I know it's 1 of 26. The only thing I know is it's not a black. It's a black card.
It is a black card?
Okay.
This is the magic trick. You might have to wait.
So I don't know the name of it, but just tell me what it is, and I'll do something amazing. Just tell me the name.
You want us to
I
tell
won't
you
touch
what
the
it is?
cards. Tell me what it is.
It's the 3 of spades.
3 of spades. Okay, watch.
Oh, no fucking way. It was in my hand.
Did you feel something?
What the fuck? It was here.
yo, that's so nuts, bro. What the hell?
Did you check it? There's all red ones.
Yeah, yo, I did. I swear.
You didn't even touch it.
And I saw 3 of spades
I
there.
saw it 3 of 2.
That's nuts, bro.
What
That's actually fucked. Bro, yo, feedback. This guy's legit.
What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today we got How to Make Your Magic Better, episode 13. Wow, it's amazing that we've already done 13 of these. It's, I guess, my longest series, my longest running series now at 13 videos, which is pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. They don't get a ton of views, but they definitely should, because the gold is in these theory videos, alright? So in this video, episode 13, we are talking about taking risks, why you should do it, how to do it. I'm going to give you examples, safety nets, all these important things that you need to know about taking risks in your magic and how to make true miracles come true. If you want to go into more details and learn some true miracles in card magic and also mentalism and how to generate even more miracles from risk taking, check out my private lessons, link below. And with all that said, let's jump right into episode 13 of How to Make Your Magic Better, Taking Risks. So what is it and what do I mean by taking risks? Well, if you're not sure, what I simply mean is try things that are not 100%, be a bit more bold, and have fun and push the limits of your magic, okay? I think it's super important to try things that aren't always surefire, aren't always 100%, and I know that's difficult. A lot of people are worried about failure and what people will think, and I assure you guys there's a lot of ways to make sure you never fail, or the audience will never know that you failed. I can't remember the last time I actually failed a trick because I always know how to save it, right? Taking these risks, doing things that are not 100%, and most importantly, getting outside of your comfort zone. Getting outside of your comfort zone is the only way where you will grow. In anything in life, it's where you'll find your new passions, you'll do things you never knew you could, and you'll just truly amaze yourself when you step outside your comfort zone. Now, this is something very hard for a lot of people, but it is absolutely crucial. It's important to try new things because if you don't try things, you'll never know if you actually enjoy it. And sometimes you're leaving a lot on the table that you could, be out there doing, be performing things that you really love and truly finding what it is that you love in magic and sharing that gift with other people. And of course, being bold, not only is it fun, gets your adrenaline going, but when it pays off, there's nothing like it, and no no better feeling and no better sense of magic out there. So now, why is this important? Well, one, taking risks really improves your magic. Seriously, taking risks improves your magic more than many things, right? It's one of the best things you can do. It makes your magic more exciting for you and the audience, makes it more entertaining, keeps you on your toes, makes you sharp, gets you to learn how to navigate tough scenarios, how to get out of all kinds of scenarios. It makes you a better performer. Not only does it get you to be able to have that two-faced brain, I like to call it, where one side of your brain is focused on the performance and the other side can be thinking of something completely different, working out how you're about to save the performance that you're in the middle of, right? And I think that's an important task, like multitasking in a sense. It'll make you more confident. Once you start to get some of these bold moments to succeed, which you will if you just try, once you start to do them, I feel now, after I've done these things, that I can do anything. I feel like any bold moment, I'll just do it. I'll just try it because I'm used to it. I've done it. I know how to get out of situations. I'm not worried. My confidence as a performer has went way up since I've started to be more bold. Okay? Because now I know that, I made someone pick a number between 1 and 50 by just asking them to pick the number, and I just got them to pick the number that I wanted. There wasn't a method. I just did it. And when I do things like that, now I'm more confident. Whether I need to save a routine, I'm confident in doing that. Whether I'm performing a routine, even if it's surefire, I just have that confidence to me now that I've gotten through being bold. A big thing with being bold is generating miracles, guys. The best miracles are always going to come from being bold, right? You'll see it all the time. When you see a magician do something and it fries you and it's just so incredible, so a lot of the time it's just they were bold, they took a risk, and maybe they got lucky, but it is what it is, and that's how you create it. It doesn't matter if you got lucky. The experience you'll leave for your audience is amazing. I'll give you a little anecdote. I was recently at a Pitt Hartling lecture here in Ottawa, and he did this effect that was absolutely incredible. It's his effect called Sherlock, I believe he calls it, and I really love the effect, and it's kind of like a magician fooler effect, but it's super, super good. But I was able to catch on to the principle just because it happened to remind me of another effect. And after watching it, I was like, wow, this is so fair, so good. There's only one way this could work. It has to be that, and it was. But at the end, there was one moment, right? It was so fair in the selection and him finding the card. But how he actually found it is he set the deck down, the spectator cut, and he cut right to his card. And I was so excited. That was my favorite part. Of all the great material and performance tips, I was just so ready to learn how the hell he made the spectator cut to his card. Come to find out, his trick Sherlock actually went wrong. And he just went into mnemonicosis, right? Which, if you don't know, is where you have a deck in mnemonica and you just kind of freestyle how you get the spectator to get to their card, whether you spell or they cut. And he just, knew about where the card was. He told him to cut, roughly half, and the spectator happened to cut right to the card, and, he could see the next card, so he knew that was his. And boom, and it floored me, and I was like, I want to learn how to do that. And it was a miracle, but it was a miracle to me. My favorite, one of the things that I was most, intrigued by in the lecture, just because he was bold and took a risk. So these miracles, some of the best effects require you to be a bit bold, and miracles and stuff like that. Something like Midas Touch, while it is surefire, I would say, it's still a bold thing to go and perform. It feels, especially for the first time, it's really, really tough to go and do, for the first time, but it's one of the greatest effects of all time. And I can't tell you enough how being bold will force you to be quick on your feet and force you to learn all kinds of new ways to save effects. I can tell you so many stories, and I will tell you a few of when I've been no idea how I'm gonna save this, something went wrong, and I just start trying things, being bold on the spot, and it starts to work out. And then afterwards I'm like, wow, that was incredible how I saved that, and I don't even know how some of it worked out. It just worked out and it saved itself. And I'm going to tell you a really cool story about that in a bit, but it's just really amazing. And at the end of the day, being bold is just a lot of fun, right? It not only, like I said, is it fun for you, it's entertaining, especially if you find yourself starting to get bored with the stuff that you're doing. It's a way to always have something new. It's like jazz magic sort of, right? You're always doing something new, doing something fresh. You never know how it's going to end, and it's really a lot of fun. Ultimately, I will say if you are not being bold and trying at least a couple of bold things, I will honestly say you are doing a disservice to your audience. You're sheltering them from the possibility of seeing true miracles that will be life-changing for them, and they'll walk away having absolutely no way to ever figure out how you did it because you were bold and maybe you got lucky, right? Luck is the truest form of magic. Luck and coincidence at the end of the day, right? It's the realest thing, the closest thing we actually have, so why not try to use that? It'll make your magic better. Like I said, it'll make you a better performer, make you sharper, and make everything you do more fun, more entertaining by just being bold. The audience can pick up on some of the things that you're doing, and when you ask someone, you know, name the first animal to come to mind, and you're hoping to get a hit, they feel that realness in that too, inherently, subconsciously, without even knowing. At the end of the day, it'll make you an unforgettable performer and someone that they will want to see again and again, right? So I urge you to try some of these things out. Now let's talk a bit more methods, or sort of how to do this, how to be bold, how to go about it, how to start doing it, stuff like that. So first thing, I would look at multiple outs, right? Multiple outs are a great way to be bold, where you can try something, and if it doesn't work, you can just steer it in a slightly different direction. A lot of effects are structured like this. You have the perfect outcome, right? And if that doesn't go right, you still have some good outcomes left. That's a great way to start with being bold, familiarizing yourself with effects that end slightly differently, that change course throughout. And then when you hit that perfect result, you will see how incredible that moment is. So look at effects like that, stuff that use multiple outs. That's a great place to start. Using the right justifications can save you in a lot of scenarios too. If you're bold with something, but you justify either the context of that or what the response is or the answer, then you can save it. It's like equivocate in a sense. You know, when I ask someone to name a color, red or black, and I want them to name red, if they say black, I'm just shifting the context through a justification to get them to feel like red was the choice. Same thing with being bold. I could, you know, have a billet with the word giraffe on it and try to get someone to say animal by saying, name the first animal that comes to mind. Or maybe I try a little bit of a psychological force where I mention, you know, an animal that you wouldn't find on this continent, right? And if it hits with giraffe and I have this billet, it's amazing. Now if it doesn't, I can shift the context and maybe, you know, I was holding this billet out and I said name the first animal, but I never mentioned that this would be on the animal, right? So now I can make a justification. I say, okay, so you said giraffe. Now I want you to think of a name now, and now I have a reason with the billet. I justify, I pretend to write something, but the word giraffe's already on it. I can go into a one ahead. I can do all kinds of different things, right? That's a great segue into another method, which is one ahead. One ahead is your ultimate scapegoat when it comes to mentalism. If something goes wrong, you can always save it with a one ahead, and it's a great place to be bold. Try a psych force, try to get a perfect hit, right? You have that billet, then you can use the proper justification. And like I said, there's a justification for absolutely anything, okay? You can use the right justification to change the context, right? Maybe they thought the billet you were holding was gonna say what they thought, but if you never said that, you can now change that to say, you know, here, let me write down a name now and think of a name, even though you already have the animal on it. Now you just force the name and you can go into a one ahead, right? Using a one ahead allows you to be bold. Another great option is if you're doing any kind of mind reading effects, to take guesses. You know, even if before you do your peak, take a guess, right? So someone says an animal and then you say, you didn't go for a giraffe, did you? And if you hit that, it's amazing, right? And I'll do this a lot from time to time. I'll just throw out a guess before I actually know it. It not only adds credibility, it adds a sense of realism because you never even, you know, touched the thing they wrote down. If you hit, you have a miracle. You really don't even need to touch the thing that they did to get your peak or whatever it happens to be, whatever method you're using, but take these guesses. If you get it wrong, it's not a big deal. All it does is add credibility, because why would you get it wrong if you already knew the answer, right? So just add some realness to what you're doing. Now when it comes to card magic, you can do the same thing. I urge you, every time from now on someone picks a card that you don't know what it is, you know, let them do it in the fairest way and just guess. Just guess what the card is. And you can always use the sentence, it's not the 8 of hearts, is it? And that way it sounds like you're saying it's not, but if it were, it would also be taken as a hit. If it's not the 8 of hearts, they'll just be like, yeah, it's not. But if it is, they'll be like, whoa, how'd you know that? It's a great statement, right? It's not the 8 of hearts, is it? So these are just some ideas. Multiple outs, using the right justifications to navigate your way through various scenarios. If you ever get stuck, You can justify anything as part of your process, like I've talked about in a recent Mentalism 101 video. Your process can be anything. And so if you say, I need to do this to be able to do the magic or do that, they'll have to accept it, because otherwise the magic's not going to happen. You're telling them that's your process. So you can now justify anything to get out of situations when you were being bold. Start taking guesses, right? Try to just guess things before you know. People tend to think in a lot of the same ways, so just taking these guesses, you'll be surprised at how high your hit rates are. Using one ahead in mentalism, one of the biggest ways that will allow you to be bold and have a way out if something goes wrong. Try all these more risky things. Just have someone think of an animal, guess it. If it's not it, move into a one ahead. You know, as part of your process, you justify saying, okay, well, I need you to make a connection with it, so maybe you write it down here and just visualize it. Now you get a peek and you nail it, right? Through justification, now I've saved myself, you know? So I don't have them write it down right away. I take a couple of guesses. If it's wrong, now I justify them writing it down, get the peek, hit. And the fact that you got it wrong a couple of times before will only add to the credibility and add to the amazement of the final reveal. And another great thing you can use is the for example statement. This is something I use a lot, whether in card magic or mentalism. You can say, for example. So let's say you have a prediction written down, and I said, you know, in a second I'm going to have you name a card. So for example, what card might you name? And now they say 3 of clubs, and I say, wow, amazing. But if they said 10 hearts, I say, okay, perfect. So, as you can see, that was a completely free choice, right? That example felt like a free choice. Yeah, okay, perfect. So let's get into this. And now I just maybe equivocate, force this or something, right? That's a great technique. In mentalism, you can say, you know, you have the prediction with the name written down. For example, if you were to name a male name, which one would you name? Jacob. Perfect hit. Or they don't, you say perfect. And that felt like a free choice. So the example is, if it doesn't hit, the justification, again, back to justification, is just you showing that example to prove that it's a free choice, right? Now let's talk about a few examples. So one I want to talk about is that impromptu wave effect that I put out. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. But I use the for example principle in card magic in a great way there, and that's a great way of being bold. It's only a 1 in 4 chance. I need them to say the Queen of Hearts, and so I say, for example, if you were to name a queen, what would you say? If they say Queen of Hearts, we have an amazing hit. If they don't, then I say, and that felt like a free choice, right? So that's, again, just building off that example. Another one, you know, is like one ahead and prop list stuff. All of my prop list stuff, if it doesn't go right, because a lot of it's a bit more bold, more risky, and some of it's not surefire, and if it doesn't hit, I always have typically a one ahead, a scapegoat, to work into. So if I'm doing my name divination, if it doesn't hit, I take my guess, they say no, I know they have a name in mind. Now, I just write down the name I was trying to force, and force that name on someone else using a forcing technique that I have, right? So now that person's thinking of the original name. I ask this person, you know, what's the name you're thinking of? Well, I'm writing down the other one. They tell me, and now while I'm guessing this one that's already been written down, I write down their name, and we have a brilliant one ahead, and I've saved it, right? So I can do that. Drawing duplication, similar thing, you know, just be bold, and if you're doing any prop list stuff, that's a great place to start, is to have some of these safety nets built in. And another thing, I want to give you an example of something that happened, and it's a similar story. It's with the name divination, and I was doing it recently. I don't believe the video has quite came out yet, but it will be coming out, so you guys can get a little bit of an insight into how that worked if you choose to watch this video, because I imagine if you were to watch it without hearing this, you'd probably be pretty floored at how I was able to get that to work, and it just came with being bold. So I had someone try to think of a name, and I was trying to do a prop list divination, but they went left field and I had no idea what the name was. I had already written down what I thought the name was, handed it to them. They said the name out loud, and I knew it didn't match. So now I said, okay, we'll get back to that in a second. Now I knew all I had to do was force the name that's already in the billet on someone else. So I turn to someone else and I say, I'm gonna have you think of a name, and I used a sort of a surefire forcing method. Now, as I went to do this forcing method, I realized that there was an issue, and it actually wasn't going to work in this context, which I had originally planned. And this is another thing I'll talk about in a second in the how to improve, is, you know, careful planning, okay? So I had planned for this outcome, but I guess I had never really tested it quite all the way. I just thought it through, and I thought it would work, but I missed one important thing. This is why you should always test things. And so on the spot, I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work anymore. I ended up having a list of names, and that name was on the list, and I said, pick a number between 1 and 10. And I was just hoping that I could get her to the name I wanted her to get to somehow with the number she did. And she happened to name the number that was 1 less than the number the name was at that I wanted. So it was at, say, 7 and she named 6. So then I'm just like, well, I'll just get her to go one more. I'm just gonna be bold and get her to go one more. And it was also bold just asking her to name a number in the first place, because she has a list of names, she names a number, I mean, we all know what's gonna happen, right? So these bold things. So now she counts down, she's one above the name I want, and I say, do you wanna switch one more? Like go one more? And I just said it with a tone, and I said it with a way like, you know, that she should do it. You know, it's like, you wanna go one more? And I just not, you wanna go one more? Like just to change it, yeah, right? And I'm almost like, yeah, you wanna go one more? Just, yeah, you wanna change it? Sure enough, she's like, yeah. And she goes to the next one, and now she's on the forced name, boom. Now while I'm writing hers down, I write down his name and I save the day. So now just through being bold, I was able to save that and turn it into really a miracle effect. It was much better now than it was probably supposed to be because of that whole being bold scenario. Now how to improve? Simply, I'm just gonna say do it. You guys just need to get out there, do it and try it and see it for yourself. And once you have one thing hit, you'll never wanna go back, trust me. Start small. Start with little things, you know, maybe 1 in 4 chances, like I talk about with the wave effect. You can go try that for yourself. Like I said, guessing playing cards every time someone picks one. Just say, it's not the boom, is it? And then if you do, when you hit that, it'll be incredible. And like I said, you'll hit it more often than you expect. Have someone think of a playing card and just said, you didn't go for the 7 of hearts, did you? I tell you, that'll hit all the time. With women, the Queen of Hearts will hit all the time. Try these bold things and you will see miracles. And if it doesn't hit, then just say, all right, so here, take out the card you're thinking of and now show them the trick you were gonna do with the selection anyway, right? Big thing, like I mentioned a second ago, carefully plan out your outs. So for example, with my propless name thing, I had thought about all the possibilities, all the different outs, how I would handle it. And now I've prepped some things on my phone, some things that I can do that now that if I need to save it, they're ready to go. I can just navigate into this, force that. Everything is saved. I've thought about every angle. So it's really like a giant multiple outs now. It's not even not surefire anymore because I just have all these outs. So if you can carefully plan your outs and have all these different safety nets, you'll be totally fine. Thinking about everything that goes wrong is the best thing you can do when you're trying to be bold. And just think about how you're gonna handle it. Okay, what if I guess the animal and it doesn't match? Okay, am I gonna go into a one ahead? Am I gonna play it off? Am I gonna try to justify it? Am I gonna use it as it was just an example? Am I gonna talk about it being a warm-up exercise? What am I gonna do? Script your routines, right? Think about all these things and how you'd handle it. At the end of the day, you need to commit to it, right? Commit to being bold. If this is something you wanna do, which I highly, highly recommend, do it. It'll be a major change for you and your magic, but just commit to it and go out there and do it. And then my last tip would be to hide the risky things within surefire effects. So do something that's surefire, take a risk in the middle. If it doesn't work out and you weren't able to save it, it's fine. Just hit with something strong right after and it'll be totally forgotten about and you'll be fine. So that is it for How to Make Your Magic Better episode 13. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a great video. A lot of important things here about taking risks. I love to take risks and I think it's super important to be bold and try these things to really enhance your magic for yourself. So let me know if you like to take risks. Tell me some stories about when you've been bold and how it's paid off in the comments below. And if you'd like any more help with some of these techniques, how to be more bold, if you'd like to learn some bold effects, go check out my private lessons in the link below. So I want to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And if you like this video and would like to see more, don't forget to drop a like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.